I'm Lauren Jones, founder of Lojo Media, and we're going to round out the state of NILs with an amazing panel. We've heard from the student athletes, we've heard from the entrepreneurs, we've heard from the executives, we've heard from just every aspect, but now we want to hear from the father-son duo, and we're also joined by Miss Catherine Shirley, who's going to speak to kind of the business side of things. But Derrick Mays and Hudson Mays, thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to kind of just dive in. I want to start off by asking both of you, what was your first immediate reaction when you heard about the NILs? What was your first introduction to NILs?
I'll say the first thing I knew about it. Huddy sent me the new case that just passed yesterday, and for me, I thought it was about time. I also feel like I took a lot of credit for it, for the work that I put in the college space when we didn't have NIL. So I felt a bit vindicated from my work, and I believe that it was all for that reason for people like Hudson and his generation to enjoy it. So I felt proud as a dad, but also I felt proud as one of those pioneers blazing the trail.
Yeah, and then Hudson, can you just speak to what your kind of first impressions of NIL was and how you first heard about it?
Yeah, I mean, when I first kind of heard about it, it was years back. Obviously, I think I started to pick up on it when I first got in the high school basketball realm of things, probably eighth grade, knowing I'm gonna be a high level student athlete in the next couple of years. But I don't really know much about it. I think my first impression of the kind of paying the players thing was, I remember I was in middle school and I saw DeAndre Ayton. He had to sit out most of the year at Arizona because I think the coach or the program was paying him on the side, and I thought it was a bit weird. But I didn't really know too much about it until I think year by year of my peers, people older than me just seeing it all kind of pan out and seeing kids starting getting deals, and obviously me going into my 10th grade year, me getting an NIL deal. So I think every year, every month, it's just I've started to kind of understand it more and understand what it really means to have a name, image, and likeness in not only high school but college as well, and how that kind of transfers over to professional sports in general.
Yeah, I think that this is really a testament to generation and generation, right? This is, speaking and covering so many decades of student athletes and how this evolution has kind of come to fruition. You mentioned saying that, being a pioneer in this space and advocating for name, image, and likeness, just, the compensation of collegiate players. Can you just speak to kind of some of the early stories that if you have to share about what you kind of experienced, and what, challenges you faced, what adversity you faced when you were kind of navigating these waters?
Yeah, it's full circle. It really is. And even some of the stories that I bring up, even now, Hudson marvels and says he never really heard about them. But yeah, I was an All-American at Notre Dame. I know we don't get much love out here in Southern California for that.
Respect to the goal helmets.
Yeah, but I in my 4 years, I never lost to USC, so I don't have a problem with it. But
you stirred up trouble now. Captain, I think you need to switch. I know. And look at the colors you wore today.
yeah.
I'm like, oh Lord.
So yeah, listen, it was at Notre Dame we were the hottest ticket in the television market. We had our own network with NBC. All of my games were prime time and telecast and broadcast. I wore number one, and it was the number one selling jersey in Notre Dame. It still is to this day. I never got $1 for it. But that was the nature of college sports in 1992. And I talked a little bit further about, by the time I was a junior, my dad lived in Indianapolis. I'm an Indianapolis product, born and raised, and my dad owned an engraving and screen printing company, minority business. And I recall my sophomore year getting called into the athletic department's office because my dad was selling amazing T-shirts with my name and likeness and image on it. And they threatened to suspend me and sue my father and his company. And we were just trying to make a living. It was literally the family business. So I promise you, this time around, we have the experience, we have the knowledge, and now we have the ability to really take advantage of it. And you better believe he's going to be a good product for it.
Absolutely. So, Catherine, I also want to speak to you because obviously, as Trojans, we've seen and experienced at the highest level, some of the biggest scandals in college football history, and just across the board. Reggie Bush, he just got his Heisman back, and so there's been so many student athletes that have been kind of sacrificed for these moments to happen. Catherine, from your perspective, can you just talk about what you've seen in terms of the shift, in terms of just the energy from student athletes now versus kind of, when they were just receiving a stipend and just making bare minimum, but having to, being able to sustain an entire NCAA multi-million-dollar, business, what you kind of have seen from that perspective.
Yeah, the energy definitely is high, and then we, from a business perspective, have a little concern because while a student is in college, we definitely want them to learn what they need to learn. They've got to get those critical thinking skills. They've got to network. They've got to meet people because your body is only going to take you so long in your sport. So you have to be ready for that life after sport. And the other thing, just, they already had to balance athletics with the academics and trying to get some time in to have a personal life. And I feel that, some of those things are going to be strained, but this generation, they can do it. They've multitasked their whole lives. They've got electronic devices and technology that does a lot more than what we had. And so we kind of did whatever we could with what we have. And so I think they can do it. They just need to make sure that they're mindful of all the other things that they need to do. Don't leave anything on the table. These universities, they offer many, many intangibles, if you will, and we've got to make sure that our student athletes and their families know those things and make sure they take advantage of it.
Yeah, so obviously she mentioned, the digital age, social media. How have you kind of cultivated, branding and your social media, utilize that to take advantage of what, is free market currently, how have you kind of cultivated that?
I think it's like kind of normalized at this point. A lot of the spaces I've like worked within NIL have all came like, we're gonna have you represent us through your social media. So, it's not. I feel like it's like almost. I can't think of many other ways that are as normal to represent brands than on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. It's just. I feel like it's like so. It's so normalized because that's how I grew up. I've even had people tell me that I have too much just basketball on my page, not enough, other stuff. So. But I think, yeah, it's definitely different from, I think when, and I was just starting and maybe it was, just outings, public speaking, stuff like that didn't necessarily go on social media. But, at this point, I think it's just pretty like steady. Anytime I see anyone, posting or promoting something, a brand, it's just, see it on my feed. So I think it's a good, funnel to kind of just get it out to the public digitally because that's how everyone sees it. That's how everyone gets their news at this point. That's how everyone sees things on a daily. So I think it's definitely an advantage that I take. Probably should take more advantage of it.
I'll tell you, it was a learning curve for me, obviously not growing up with social media. I will say I'm also thankful I didn't have social media playing in my college and professional career, just because the pressure I felt that to have to answer to a lot of the fans and the people, but just to be able to see through Hudson's experience it's been eye-opening. And almost he just mentioned, I thought when we first started his Instagram account, we wanted to curate it so that it was focused on basketball. He had his his tag name Huddy Hoops, and it was all specific to basketball. But now I see, and he's had his big brothers like Jared McCain and folks like that showing him the way that, personality matters, and that makes a bigger market of your NIL. So you can't have it one without the other, and I'm learning that. I feel like it's a big hybrid. Somewhere in the middle, you got to find that safe space and still communicate with a purpose, communicate properly.
Yeah. So, from both of your perspectives, what was it like, kind of signing your first NIL deal for you? What did that feel like? Because obviously, you do the letter of intent. That was, the big things for us back in my day, but to ink your first deal, what did that feel like for you? And Dad, I also want to ask you, what was kind of, your I already see the proud dad moment, but what was your reaction?
I mean, when I first signed it, like it was my first one was it was with Atlanta Sports Group. It's red, white, and blue ABA balls, and it kind of ties back. It's like a family kind of deal almost, but at the same time, they wanted to have me represent my grandfather, Roger Brown, used to play in the ABA. But the first one that I really signed, I honestly, back in like 10th grade, I did not know, what it would become. So it was, I did a Amazon TV show, acted in that, and I thought I was just there to act, make some money off it. I've done a commercial before when I was younger. I didn't really know what it would become, but now I think I'm starting to take more pride into continuing legacy, but also doing it in the realm of social media now, and also doing it in the realm of just representing my family through also getting my name out there, and obviously making money off it because I'm putting on for these brands and stuff. So it was yeah. I'm not gonna lie. At the time I signed it, I had no idea, but now it's kind of.
Yeah, I was super proud, particularly of the two deals because they were organic. There was nothing contrived about them. That ABA basketball represents a different era, and it's an era that Hudson's grandpa, my wife's father, and my father-in-law, Roger Brown, Hall of Fame with the ABA Pacers, won 3 championships with them. If we win one more this coming year, that'll be the first time since Grandpa Roger won a championship for the Pacers. That's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're 3 generations of student athletes, and that's pretty impressive. The upcoming Amazon Prime documentary about the ABA and the NBA merger, and Hudson being able to represent once again legacy. That's the way I feel like purposeful NIL works. Now because he's moving on from high school into college. He's able to now participate in that traditional NIL that the colleges are providing him. And, it's not his first swing at the bat because of it, because we had some reps, because he's been able to immerse himself in that space, but we're able to do it again organically, and I couldn't be more proud about that.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, lineage. Not everybody gets that trajectory, and it's built in. From the family, you've had people to look up to, built into the family, and learning lessons. What would you say has been one of the biggest learning lessons for you as you navigate kind of this space of NILs and the transition between high school to college? What's been kind of one of the biggest surprises for you in this space?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I had an agency group. We kind of conversated with them, but I had someone tell me, yeah, your page is all basketball. So I mean, I think there's some truth, and I think there is some anomalies who can't get away with, I'm that talented, I'm just gonna get away with, just kind of building from I'm gonna go hoop. And I think that should be your main focus before anything else. But I think at the same time, you said the biggest lesson is kind of just I've seen that you need to represent you as a person on your social media more beyond basketball, because at the end of the day, when the ball stops bouncing, you're gonna have to make a living off not only your personality but other endeavors. besides just playing basketball. So I think NIL helps with starting that early, and something I personally have like um found a niche in it. It's kind of like I like something I like fashion. I like clothes. So, me kind of signing a deal with Factory Lab and kind of representing that is like kind of one step I could take to kind of just representing me as a person more than just basketball. So that's probably the biggest lesson for me is just to kind of find myself beyond basketball, but
Hmm.
also put you know put my sport first, and then let everything else come. But when that all that stuff does come, represent that to the fullest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have to ask you selfishly, top three drip in the NBA currently.
Um,
If you had an all drip team,
yeah,
who would it be?
Russ, Russ is up there. Russ is up there for sure.
Why
Gotta
not?
On
gotta
time.
put
That's
him.
right.
You
Yeah,
know?
um, yeah. I got Jared. I think he just made the what they have like a
League
all.
fifth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you're a why not loyal, aren't you? Dang.
Consistent.
Hometown
I'm here.
product.
I'm here to brand you.
And then I'm gonna say another one made league fifth. So I'm gonna say Bones Highland. He's up there
That's a
too.
sleeper,
Uh-huh.
low key. Okay.
I think he got some fits.
All right.
Sure.
No shade. No SGA, not the
It's
MVP.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's
Honorable
a
mention. I love it. No, I love
traditional
it.
answer, yeah.
I love it. I love it. I know, right? Well, Swaggy P walks though. No, no, that's awesome. And Catherine, I also want to ask you to just kind of talk about in terms of I want to go back to kind of the generation and lineage. What are some of the things that you've seen at USC or with your clients in terms of how they handle kind of the pressures of making sure to keep the main thing in terms of their sport, but then navigating and trying to break into the market, not being too late, to the party and things. What have you seen from that perspective?
Really just understanding what the main thing is and keep the main thing the main thing. As we already talked about, making sure that you're staying on top of your sport because you do have responsibility when it comes to school. If you're playing basketball, you've got to play for that team. You got to follow compliance. You've got to do all of those things. But in addition to that, really, again, taking advantage of the space and where you are. There are many alums, and look, USC, we've got that networking thing on lock. Being able to meet people and taking your game to another level because, again, your body is only going to last but so long. You've got so many years to live after that. And so you've got to start exploring things, even when it comes to drafts the conversations that the teams have with you and when they're trying to get a sense of your character. You're using social media and the things that you're doing, you can dictate what it is that they're talking about and you can create the narrative and make sure that things happen and the conversations are where you want them to go. There are so many things that you can do. And then I just want to also mention, we talked about contracts earlier. You need to know what you are signing, what is in that contract, how long that term is for that contract. And, this might be something that comes later, but setting up a separate legal entity to make sure that if someone sues you, because this country people are litigious, to make sure that your assets are protected, your personal assets. And so there are just so many things that kind of fall into this space, many advantages that you have, but also there's a lot of things that can be a disadvantage, and you want to make sure that you're on the right side of those things. So,
I just say, Miss Captain, you're spot on. I think about, I would say again, you've heard me say this already. Social media would not have worked well when I was playing in my day, and because of it, we tried to be very careful with Hudson. But as he's been graduating from high school now, one of the first things that we got on him for this second semester is putting up his LinkedIn account. And again, social media for a purpose. And it's not that he has the resume right now, but you start building it and you get into the habit of constantly updating because it's a
Yes.
living, breathing resume. Everything you
Yes.
do, you can go right back there and post on it. And you just said it because it's so important for the network, right? So his UCSD network that's just waiting for him, they want to support him right now. They don't need him to wait until he graduates. And I've been fortunate enough to enjoy that from my own Notre Dame network, which is I know is a global network of access and opportunity and advocacy. And so it's a two-way street. I know that we got to take that first step, right? And set the table for allow everyone else to be able to come to it.
Yeah, I think that that's such a great point. And one, I kind of want to close out on is that, it's all in good fun that, Notre Dame and USC and UCSD, but, the bottom line is that we are, minorities in a very limited space, and we are part of the 1% that have access to these resources, and it's a long time coming for our student athletes to get the compensation and the just due that they deserve. We want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. And I think that in speaking about so many key things today, it's so important. LinkedIn is so important. Even if you don't have anything on there, that is a network where you can shoot your shot to anyone. That's a luxury that we have. So I just want to say, first of all, I really appreciate you guys being here. There's so much power in this, the lineage and the legacy. I got to ask, where can they find you? I know Dad's not on social. Or so where can they find you?
Yeah, my Instagram is just my name, Hudson Mays. But probably should make a LinkedIn.
It's coming soon. Coming soon. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for joining me. That'll do it for the state of NILs. We had a wonderful day filled with just so much information and knowledge. This was incredible, and we'll be back for another one. Black Hollywood Live.